Have you ever felt like you were handed a spiritual script at birth, but somewhere along the way, the words stopped making sense? Like you're doing everything right on paper. You're showing up to the places, you're saying the words, you're nodding at the right moments, but deep down, it just doesn't feel real. Maybe even worse, it feels like you're shrinking yourself in order to fit into it. Yeah, been there. And let me tell you, it's disorienting. In today's episode, we're throwing out the spiritual rulebook and leaning into the uncomfortable, expansive, and sometimes awkward journey of redefining what belief and connection actually look like on our terms. But first, hi, welcome to the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast, where personal growth meets deep thought and introspection. I am your host, Dylan Andres, and in this episode, we are exploring my personal journey through the journal prompts. What are your core spiritual beliefs? How do they support your journey toward healing? Let's get after it. Growing up Catholic and converting to Christianity in my teens, let's just say, was a bit of a spiritual mental gymnastics ordeal. And like a lot of us who were raised in structured religions, there were rules, there were expectations, there were things you just didn't question. And when you did question them, well, the answers weren't exactly, let's say, illuminating. That's just the way it is. A phrase that I have heard more times than I care to admit, which, in my opinion, is essentially code for we don't have a clue and we're scared to say so. Now, don't get me wrong. There were moments of peace, of beauty, of connection. But more often than not, I felt small, boxed in. Like spirituality was something I had to perform rather than something that I could experience. And here's where it gets real for a lot of us high performers, overthinkers, and recovering perfectionists. When you're conditioned to believe that love, even divine love, is conditional, you carry that belief into every area of your life, your relationships, your business, even how you speak to yourself. It creates this silent pressure to get it right, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And when you inevitably don't, the shame loop begins. And I know we've all felt that before. There came a point when I realized I wasn't doubting God. I was doubting the version of God I had been handed. The angry one. The one who needed me to constantly prove I was worthy. Then, enter a phrase that completely shifted everything for me. God of my own understanding. Wildly simple, yet remarkably transformative in my brain space. It was a term I heard from a man I admire, David Bayer, and it cracked something up wide open because for the first time, it gave me permission to explore faith as a personal, living, breathing experience, not just a doctrine. That's when the seeking began. Books, Bible study, podcasts, YouTube, philosophies, conversations that didn't have clean, abrupt, black and white endings. And no, it wasn't always graceful. Correction isn't always graceful, as life and its lessons are, in fact, ever ongoing. Sometimes redefining your beliefs feels like standing in a wreckage of a house you've lived in your entire life. You start sorting through the rubble and your mind goes, is this mine? Or was this just handed to me? And slowly, you rebuild, thought by thought, truth by truth. Today, my spiritual beliefs center around interconnectedness. There we go. Love and compassion. I believe we are all a part of something bigger than ourselves, a greater intelligence that wants expansion and healing, not fear and shame. And that belief isn't just philosophical. It functions. It supports me when I'm in the trenches. When I'm overwhelmed, I turn to mindfulness. When I'm spinning in my thoughts, I go to nature. When I feel the weight of life, I meditate. I breathe and I pause. And that pause, it's sacred. You see, for so many of us who are high achievers, we're taught that slowing down is failure, that peace is laziness. But ironically, our healing depends on stillness. Studies from the American Psychological Association consistently show that mindfulness and gratitude practices improve emotional regulation, reduce anxiety, and boost overall life satisfaction. However, we don't need a study to tell us what we feel when we ground ourselves, right? When I'm present, when I'm connected, when I'm grateful, I become someone I'm proud of. Not because I'm achieving more, but because I'm aligned. I'm in alignment. Look, I'm not here to tell you that your way is wrong or my way is right and the way. And that's the whole point. What works for me might not work for you. But if it does something in your spirit, if it makes you feel more like yourself, more alive, more at peace, then it's sacred. I believe that any spiritual path rooted in love, honesty, and personal responsibility is worth honoring. And maybe the biggest shift for me in this has been I no longer need my beliefs to be universally approved. I just need them to be true to me, to us, because I know you are likely in the same space of knowing that you've outgrown some of the beliefs in different areas of your life that made you feel small, and you now want to live with purpose. But also, you want peace. And if you're anything like the amazing clients I get to coach, you're learning how to trust yourself again, spiritually, emotionally, and relationally. That's the work. And we can do it together. So let me ask you something, or rather, a couple of somethings. When was the last time you defined your beliefs without trying to make them make sense to someone else? What would your spirituality look like if it was ever allowed to evolve? Where in your life are you still living by a script that no longer serves you? These are all questions that don't have quick answers, but they do lead to real, genuine, authentic, deep feeling freedom. And if this conversation stirred something in you, good. That means you're ready, and you're not alone in this. I'm not some guy who has this all figured out. I'm still asking, I'm still unlearning, and I'm still realigning. And if you're craving a space where you're supported in that process, where your questions aren't shut down but celebrated, well, that's what the Wolverine Lifestyle is all about. We don't just chase goals, we chase alignment. We build confidence rooted in authenticity, and we create lives that feel good on the inside. So, if that resonates with you, I invite you to reach out. DM me on Instagram or comment on this episode. Let's have a real conversation about what it could look like for you to reconnect with yourself, your truth, and your peace. Because your spirituality, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. As always, Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast. If it resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need it. It's the best way to get this message out there. And if you're ready to take a step further into your own self-exploration journey, grab my free ebook, 30 Days to Know Yourself. The link will be in the show notes along with all of the other links to the rest of my socials and resources. Until next time, remember, your spirituality doesn't need a label or a ladder, just a truth that feels like home to you.